Yeah, like the first thing, top thing that I noticed this week was that, interestingly enough, in the AI space. So we remember the OpenAI debacle where they tried to kick out Sam Altman. There was this big coup. The board tried to change the CEO, and CEO counter couped back and basically kicked out the entire board. The
Is that a term? Counter cooed? I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah. Central to that was Ilya Sutskever, who was the CTO at OpenAI. And for a while, people were wondering, well, what's this guy going to do next? So he ended up starting a new AI company of his own called Safe Superintelligence. Kind of a weird name, but I'll let that go for right now. And this SSI just raised $1 billion to start new AI capabilities. And some of these firms involved in the funding are some of Silicon Valley's finest, Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, as well as DST Global. So a lot of money that's going into a new player coming into the AI space. 10 people for now, but obviously with that amount of money, they're probably going to be hiring just a little bit.
Well, talk about they should have named the company Phoenix something, right? I mean, rising from the ashes, because everyone was pretty clear with that. I mean, it was this very sort of momentous sort of thing, right? The counter coup, as you called it, where he got ousted instead with a few other folks, and I don't know that he was counted out. I think I expected he was going to go back to academia, because the entire thing, and this actually leads to my not a concern, but my observation around this. The whole premise, which I agreed with, by the way, with that his statement was is that OpenAI was founded on this idea of doing research not being for profit, and that they had lost sight of that. And so that's really what was underlying all of this. And at least true to his word on this, what he's attempting to do with this is anchored in that same idea of what he's calling safe superintelligence. What I find suspect, though, or maybe not suspect because I don't think it's nefarious, but like has my head scratching a bit, is that when you take $1 billion of investors' money, not only do they want it back, but they want a return. And I don't, and yet he's talking, at least in this article, about not rushing to product, not
Right.
doing any of those things. And while I do think that some of these investors play long ball, I happen to believe we are 20 years from anything what we would truly call AGI. And so I really question if we're not just seeing, OpenAI version 2 with this, but I guess we'll see. I am personally happy to see a organization sort of taking up the reins of what OpenAI was originally founded for, but I just struggle to see how you take $1 billion of investor money and have that play out.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think Safe Superintelligence is setting up itself to be a competitor to Anthropic, which also talks about its more ethical AI perspective, and where Dario Amodei, has his OpenAI background as well. So we're seeing this competition to see who can be more ethical or perhaps more structured in their AI capabilities. But I agree, it's very hard to imagine that this won't lead to productization in the near future because, if nothing else, venture capital firms work on this 10-year window at best. They have these funds where literally they're supposed to pay back their funds to investors in 10 years. So there is a time limit. And then when you look at DST Global, they tend to be a late stage investor, meaning their timeframes tend to be even more accelerated than that. So basically, all these funds are counting on Ilya and team being able to create something monetizable over the next 2 to 3 years, probably. Even if the next 2 to 3 years are mostly real R&D, there has to be something that is going to be monetizable. And when I think about either later stage fundraises or large fundraises, when you're talking about something like $1 billion, even $100 million, usually that amount of funding, it needs to turn into annual recurring revenue within at some point. If you're not getting to $1 billion in revenue in 5 years, this is a failed investment at the end of the day.
And I think what's difficult is it's very clear that it's going to take a lot of money to make all of this kind of technology work. And if they really could come up with AGI in that sort of time frame, I think the rewards would be significant. But this is not a space that's standing still. I mean, so